Welcome to the Autore South Sea Pearl Farm. We had wanted to bring you all to the Pearl Farm, but obviously that's not possible. So what we thought we'd do is take the Pearl Farm to you. We really wanted to share the extraordinary story of the Australian Autore South Sea Pearl and the beautiful environment in which it's grown. So where exactly are we? We're about 2,000 kilometres north of Perth at a tiny little town called Broome. We're 50 kilometres north of Broome, and we're in fact 2 kilometres off the coast of Broome, out in the middle of the ocean, because that is the site of the Autore South Sea Pearl Farm, and in fact it's the only open ocean pearl farm in the world. So here at the Autore Pearl Farm, we're at the home of the giant pink tartar maxima, the largest species of pearl shell in the world, and it's capable of producing the largest, finest pearls in the world. And right here at the Autore Farm, we get an extremely high quality, in particular, very, very high luster and a very beautiful pink colour that's extremely unusual in the market today. So this pearl farm is where it's all at for the Autore Australian operation, and it's based around a mothership, the Trident Aurora, which I'm standing on today. All of our pearl farming activity happens from this particular ship, and we want to take you on a bit of a look at what's happening on the back deck and on the small boats around here, and how we grow these shell and how we finally come to harvest these incredible pearls. Now the farm itself is boat based, so the hub of the farm is a mothership, the Trident Aurora, which has just come back from a beautiful refit and is ready to see the pearling season through. From this boat, every single day, lots of different things happen. Pearl divers go out to do the maintenance on the pearl farm. The pearl shell boats go out in order to clean the shell. But shell are also brought in to do our first seeding operation, but also our harvest operation 2 years after that initial operation. How does the process all begin? In order to grow a pearl, we need a nice healthy pearl shell ready to do our first operation. We implant a small round nucleus made from another kind of shell, together with a little bit of donor tissue that comes from a donor shell. That acts like a skin graft. It grows around the nucleus and creates a sac. Inside that pearl sac, the shell will lay a nacre or mother of pearl around that nucleus. So how do we get the shell themselves? There's 2 ways we get pearl shell. One is to send pearl divers down into the ocean to collect them by hand. And they are collecting wild stock pearl shells that are growing in the wild. We collect them at about 3 years of age, and that's the age that we will make our first pearl operation. Or we grow them in a pearl oyster hatchery from scratch. Here's an example of a 5-month-old pearl shell. Here's an example of a 3-year-old pearl shell, which will be ready for first pearl culture. And here's an example of an 8-year-old pearl shell, a pearl that's not only been given us 1 pearl, it's actually given us 2. As the pearl shell grows on the farm, it gets bigger as each pearl is produced. There's a lot of research and development that goes into the growing out of baby pearl shell. And Autore have been involved in some groundbreaking and award-winning research, which is all about understanding the relationship between gene expression and pearl quality, an important step forward for not only Autore but the whole industry. Once the pearl shell have been collected or grown, we then take them to our long lines on our pearl farm, where they're basically going to grow for a couple of years. Anything that goes into the water pretty much immediately gets covered in weed and barnacles, and it's an extremely important job for us to make sure we clean not only the pearl shell themselves, but the ropes, the floats. If we don't clean the pearl shell, they won't be able to open and close in order to feed, and therefore they'll die. So cleaning pearl shell is year-round activity on this pearl farm, something that we send people out to do in small boats every single day, year in, year out. When we finish cleaning the last pearl shell, we go back to the start and start again. There's 2 types of pearl divers, those that go and collect the wild shell, but then we have divers on our farm. It's their job to make sure that our shell is safe and sound, the anchor systems are in place, the shell are cleaned on the bottom, turned, maintained. They're doing daily checks of the whole farm. Our pearl divers wear modern diving equipment. In particular, they're completely covered with wetsuit material in order to avoid being stung by a very lethal small jellyfish that grows in the waters around here called an irriganji. Once a year, we bring the shell to the mothership in order to do some special operations. The first of those operations is called the first operation, where we will seed a pearl shell for the first time. 2 years later, we bring it back in for harvest. We wait for the shell to open naturally, and we'll put something called a peg on the inside, which simply pegs the shell open. That enables our pearl technicians to perform their operation. It's interesting to see that the shell only open a few centimetres naturally. Any wider and they're no longer alive. So our pearl technicians only have a very small width in order to operate. The area that we culture the pearls is deep inside the animal itself. So they need to use long, thin tools, a special light so that they can see, but most of all they need a steady hand, and they need to be very experienced in the handling of pearl shell. One small mistake, even by a few millimetres, can actually kill the shell, because what we want to do is try to make a second pearl for another 2 years. So with a very steady hand, the pearl technician will reseed the pearl shell. It takes a long time to become a trained technician, and here at Autore we have 8 technicians operating, and we have a blend of Japanese, Indonesian and Australian technicians who operate on all of our pearl farms. And this is the moment of truth. This is the time when we get to see what we've produced after 2 years. We've got 2 byproducts, an edible part of the pearl shell called pearl meat, and the magnificent pearl shell itself, which is sold into the button market or the watch industry. But the main thing that we are looking for is a beautiful Australian South Sea pearl. Once our pearl harvest has been completed, we'll send it all to Sydney to the Autore headquarters, where they're basically prepared for the international wholesale market. And we also hand select our pearls for the Autore jewellery collections for each year. It's an extraordinary story that begins at a place that is just so remote and so beautiful, the birthplace of the pearl here at the Autore Pearl Farm. The production of a South Sea pearl is an extraordinary thing. So little is known about the story behind it, where it comes from and how we get it to be the beautiful jewellery that it is today. So we hope that this brief little video gives you not only a bit of an insight and a bit of an understanding, but maybe a bit of an appetite to come down and see it for yourself.